Hello and welcome to the Pick Your Brain podcast from the demented minds of TLEV Media. My name is Thomas.
My name is Mr. E.
I'm Josue.
And today we have very special guest. He is a not Scary Farm, scare actor veteran. He is the founder and CEO of Cardiac Productions. It is Forrest Orta. Forrest, thank you for being here.
I'm so excited. I've like watched through some of the podcasts already just to like have things in mind to talk about. So I think it was like, especially the Horror Nights ones. Or no, the whole Haunt season. Like,
Yeah.
It was like post-Haunt. Just because I wanted to know and then like hear just Cardiac and just hear my name. So, you know, hi, I seek attention.
All right, well, Forrest, thank you so much for being here.
Of course, I'm so excited to be here.
So, one thing that we did ask on our Twitter, which is at TLEV Media, we asked some questions for you, Forrest.
Yes.
So, I'm going to go
Which
down.
I have been reading them, by the way. And I was
so
like,
you're not
he's ready.
I was
Oh,
so
he's
ready
ready.
for this.
All right, so we're going to start with Anthony, our good friend from Nights of Horror, and he asked, what is the hardest thing about being a scare actor?
Well, Anthony and the league, as I told them off camera, that's how I refer to them. The easiest thing about being a scare actor or monster, we like to call ourselves monsters.
Okay.
Because we are the original, just saying.
Ooh.
But sorry. Oops. T. Where's
There
my
we
T?
go. Yeah.
I think the easiest thing about being a scare or monster, now I'm going to scare actor, is the joy you get when you scare. Because I think it's like a huge adrenaline rush. You're like, okay, am I going to get that scare? And then you do, and you're like, and it's a fun experience. That's kind of why a lot of us do it, is because of the fact that it's all scaring and wanting to play someone else and having those funds and then getting to work with like great people.
Right.
I've had the fortunate opportunity of getting to meet so many people that because of scaring, so it's been the best part. The hardest part about being a monster, and there's one girl in particular that I'll use as an example. We've named her Tippy Toes because she's a dancer, and there are points where she would scare and she would get onto like her tippy toes and basically ballet point to scare as she was walking. We're like, oh my god, that's amazing! But it was her first time at Haunt, and it was her first time on streets. Period. So there's a lot. The biggest thing that she had difficulty with was getting used to the fact that there will be people that hit you. And but like you have to remember too, like some people when they scare, their first reaction is they go for like a swing. And it happened to me a couple times, especially this season, of all of the years to get hit was this one. Because you're a clown, so it's like people find clowns.
Thomas can
attest.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And so she was still. I'm just leaving it at that. But you know, getting over that, getting used to the fact that people will say that you're not scary. If you get really close to them, hearing your breath stinks.
Oh no.
But like, you know, people don't realize we're actually human beings, and we eat, and I eat like a lot of food because I just need a lot in my system to scare. But I'll, you know. And then if they fire back with like, oh my god, your breath stank, I go, smells like death, right? And they're like, okay, you got me. I'm like, duh. Like, and so those are the easiest parts, but the difficult parts is having to be aware of those things. And then, especially on streets, I will use this as a perfect example. Because of Paranormal Inc., it kind of left me jaded a little bit.
Okay.
But because everyone knew who I was.
Yeah.
I mean, like, especially for the other two guys, Nathan and James, because all three of us were, like, now at the forefront of this maze. But because I was literally one of the major faces, especially in that one room, I was kind of just the one, and so people knew me. But now that I went onto streets, that kind of faded. But it's like, you know, so it's kind of just knowing that there are hundreds of monsters, and then you just kind of fall within just under the wayside after a while, which is fine. I've kind of gotten over it, and I'm like, I don't really, you know, I'm there to scare, and having my new prospects being the new thing. So, I mean, it is what it is.
How long have you been doing this for?
So I just finished my 7th season of Scary Farm.
Wow.
Yeah, which most people don't realize, because I think Paranormal Inc. was the one where like everyone saw me, but then it was like, okay, so but not many people realize that like my first season was, okay, so my first season was I was the last 3 weeks of the run was when I first started.
Okay.
Because we were on call talent, so when someone drops, you take their spot.
Okay.
And so, of all of the positions I could get, I was a clown in a maze called Uncle Bobo's Big Top of the Bazaar. So if you have seen Knott's history and you know it was on the 40th year, that is where this demon came to be. And so, and that's kind of where it started. And then I opened Forevermore, Tooth Fairy, Paranormal Inc. I opened The Hollow, Camp Snoopy Streets, and then was there for 2 seasons. Then went to Boardwalk, as we call it.
So you mentioned that there are hundreds of monsters. Do you know the exact number of how many there were this past year? Not to put you on the spot.
No. Well, I think marketing-wise, we have at least 1,000.
Wow.
Possibly more. That's just within both streets and mazes.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't think we include that in the hanging or any of the shows. The numbers
right.
of them.
Okay, sure.
Because there's
Yeah,
only
yeah.
maybe like 20, 30 at most. I think. I'm just gonna go on the whim, but at least 1,000. At least.
Well, see, you did mention marketing, and that's something that Julian wanted to ask. What was it like for you to be both part of the marketing with Paranormal Inc. and then also being on the streets, like with Camp Snoopy in the Hollows and also Boardwalk?
It was fun, just because I didn't know how big Barry was supposed to be, or how big the maze was going to get.
Right.
Because before that, John Cook had just done Infected, and it was going through its second year. So the first year was like super huge, and he was making a name for himself. So he's like, cool. So Trapped left the year that Infected happened. The next year, he would. Behind the scenes stuff, because he was telling us how he was able to build it. He wanted to take the trap budget and implement it into creating a higher quality maze.
Oh, wow.
With more effects. So fun fact, the trick or treat lights out with the flashlights was actually supposed to be a part of Paranormal Inc. and it never happened.
Interesting.
Because they just felt like it was too much, so they were like, we're not going to do that. So it just became what it is.
Right.
So when they cast me in it, I was like, okay, cool. Like, this is pretty awesome. Then John Cook was the one who actually approached me to do it. Was like, because Daniel Miller, who was not only my cast lead for Tooth Fairy, but designed it, was like, so do you want to be in, like, streets? And I was like, nah. Because most of us know, like, an idea of what's coming in. So, like, we kind of already knew, like, I kind of knew that, like, the depths and dark entities was happening.
Oh, okay, cool.
But to what scale we don't really know. So I had known that paranormal was a thing. I just didn't know to what magnitude or what it was going to look like. So I was like, that's what I want to do, just because I want to work on a John Cook maze. Because I'd done, again, for Knott's aficionados, I had done a maze for Brooke Walters, who designed Forevermore. I did Tooth Fairy, that was designed by Daniel Miller. And then I also did Bobo's, Enclosed Bobo's, which was designed by Daniel Miller. There's a lot of stuff. So I wanted to work on people's mazes that I was like, this is cool ideas.
Sure,
so as soon as I said I don't want to do streets, John Cook had overheard me say I didn't want it, and he goes, hey, I got a spot for you. And I was like, oh, shit, this is cool. And he goes, but I just want you to know it's a stunt spot. And I was like, he goes, have you ever done stunts? I was like, no. And he goes, but I'm like, I'm willing to do it because it sounds like fun. And he goes, well, basically, I was like, just tell me what it is so I can prepare myself. He goes, basically, you're going to be in a full body harness, and it's going to look like a demon's grabbed you and thrown you up into the air. So if you go into the room, it's got a well in the middle. It's a circular room with not a complete pentagram, so there's no demons in there. Although we've heard it's become haunted because of the whole maze. But course, you know, it's lore. But you would basically be ripped from, like, you're ripped up from the thing, and then a demon would pop in right after you. And I was like, all right, I'm totally down. He goes, oh, by the way, because you're in this spot, can we schedule you for a photo shoot? And I was like, sure. No big deal. So went in within a couple days after, and that is where we took the first. So any marketing photos of Paranormal Inc., those are the photos that were taken that very weekend I got picked. Whoa. I was like,
that's fantastic.
Super cool. And then, but was also a fun fact that the photo of all three of us, it's done separately. So all three of us were taken separately, and then they melted us together. And I didn't know what the photos were going to look like until we saw them, and I was like, oh,
And they look pretty bad.
it's
They look
super cool. I was
fantastic.
like, it's dark, and so the fact that like I'm still in those photos now to now is pretty awesome.
And the videos too. You're
And the
And
videos,
the videos,
yeah.
yeah.
So the photos were taken in like the end of July, because they have to edit everything,
Right,
and put
yeah,
everything
yeah, that
up,
makes
and
sense,
then
yeah.
about 2 weeks later, the very first teaser of Paranormal Inc. was filmed. I wasn't in it because I was actually technically supposed to be behind the camera.
Right.
So
Right.
because I'm
That
like the
makes
camera
That
dude.
makes sense,
But then the week after, so about 3 weeks after I got the spot, is when they started filming everybody. That was 2 nights. The very first night we shot the room, the actual showroom footage, because it had to be done in the part of the maze where I'm supposed to be.
Right.
And it looked really nice. And then once they were done with that, they could then destroy it and make it look terrible. And they filmed everything afterwards. So there's like a span of like 4 weeks that we were in the middle of doing
Oh, that's
a lot of
fantastic.
marketing stuff.
Insane.
In addition to the reveal, because we all had to be there for the reveal to sell the idea that we were a part of the TV show.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the week after that, we were in a dress rehearsal for the reveal, and then we were there the next night. And so, if any of you follow me on like or on YouTube, I was like slowly revealing up to what I was doing, but that very night was the release date of like, this is everything that's happening, and I did it like an hour after the reveal because I was like, I'm a really good Knott person and I know marketing well, and I'm like, I'm gonna save it till after. But I already knew what was going on, so I just filmed everything out before and then released it.
So for some of our listeners who may not know how different Not Scary Farm is with its revealing, why don't you elaborate a little bit about what the reveal that you're referring to is
So,
like?
okay, I'm gonna kind of preface to how marketing worked when I first started.
Sure.
Is they were using Facebook to reveal all of the new mazes.
Okay, yeah.
And it wasn't until I think like actually the year before they did like a full show at the Schultz Theater in the Boardwalk.
Yeah,
That was like,
yeah.
here's everything. We're like, ooh. But so all of us would watch it. If we weren't there, we were watching it. And so basically that was the event that would reveal everything. But now I know that because of like Midsummer Scream, Scare LA, they'll reveal certain things,
Yeah,
but they
yeah.
definitely don't reveal the mazes because the mazes are like the big part. It's been the last maybe like 2 or 3 years that they've really upped it, and so like to do like a full-blown trailer and make it as epic as it has, but they've been there. So the reveal is like the big event that we all have in relation to what is being announced. So that was pretty cool to like to be a part of that, because it's all of us monsters going, we're here, and then to watch everyone get into their character and makeup and stuff. Like, we didn't have to do much because I was just in a shirt and khaki pants.
There you go. Yeah.
It was like the best costume I had the entire 7 years I've been at Scary Farm.
Now that's a question I have with this year where you had to get the clown everything on. How long would that take usually?
Well, fun fact, it's a mask and dreads. So it's pretty easy to do, but also the thing that they definitely put on is black out your eyes or put colors in there of some kind, because we don't want to see your human skin. And if you go through like theme park adventure videos, you can see how like ghetto some of those eye blacks are. And because I'm someone that like, if I can see like the skin right underneath your eyes, you didn't do well. You need to do your job. Or if I can see beyond that, you didn't do your job. So I've had pictures where it's like this thick of just eye black and this, so that way you can't see any sort of my eyes.
That's good.
Because I just hate it. It's so cringy to me. But I think
I agree.
I can take about maybe fast. I can do maybe about 10 minutes.
Okay.
And that was because there was a night where I had to start earlier and go out and do a marketing event thing. So it took me like 10 minutes, and it was like a clothes on as fast as I could, makeup fast, and then put the wig on, get it all done, and then go out. Whereas I usually take about maybe like 20, 25 minutes, because I like to take my time and talk to everyone and get set up. So I like that kind of thing, is to take my time. But if I was doing like a full-blown makeup, which I've done, it was like 20 minutes. It was always giving us 20 minutes. It's like, so they're not like rushing, stabbing you with a paint like a brush to
Right,
get you done up and go.
Yeah.
So I mean, I got lucky because paranormal, I only needed 5 minutes because it was dirt.
And
that
yeah,
was
okay.
it. And so it was
There
like
you
the easiest thing, and it was legitimately just a paintbrush and just swipe, and then I'll put a little something here, and then you're done. So I mean, it's the process for some of us is either quick or super long, and so I'm one of those long people.
So is there like a priority for those that have the long or the shorter ones? Like, do they try to just get all the short people out and then work on the long people?
They'll mix them in between.
Okay.
So they'll so at the same time that I was getting done up, they were doing my girl Haley, love Haley. She was doing one other person, and that was it. It was it was me and one of the Emilys. So the one that flies above you, she was doing both of us at the same time.
Okay.
But they changed the makeup in the last or the year after because they wanted everyone to look consistent. And the Emilys that year looked nothing alike because you had this really white girl and this Hispanic girl, and they just looked nothing. They're just like, all right, cool. But it gave him something.
Okay.
So that's cool.
So how many makeup artists are there?
I think there's I want to say it 25 to 30 of them.
Oh, that's so little.
But that's true. But they each all have 20 minutes to do a certain amount of makeup, and they start at their shift. I think if I'm right, is 3 o'clock or something.
Okay.
And they go until maybe 7:30. I think.
Okay.
And there's only maybe I think 200 talent that actually have makeup.
And I know in 2 years ago for Halloween Horror Nights, they actually had emergency makeup artists in the mazes. Is it similar and not scary?
No.
No?
No. Because everything is kind of contained.
Okay.
If you've been backstage, there's videos backstage, by the way, so this is nothing new to anybody. There is a central location called Warehouse P, where a majority of the mazes, there's only maybe 3 or 4 mazes that are further out in the park, so you kind of have to trek a little bit to get back. But it's behind where is it, Mystery Lodge, and so you can easily walk there, and they're usually starting at 9, can get touched up, make sure everything's fine, because they're aware that makeup is gonna fall off, because sweat is for some reason the best makeup remover. We have no idea why, but especially with our prosthetics, because you can start to feel it flop out, so you have to make those walks to get it done. So it happened a couple times, especially Tooth Fairy, because I was wearing a huge piece. And because I'm a sweaty monster, it would start to leak, so I'd have to walk back, and they put Prozaid just to make sure it would stay the entire night. But that was it. We don't have any makeup artists at the mazes to fix. We have to go there.
Oh wow!
But I was super lucky because I got a mask, so I was totally fine. So I'm totally good with that one.
So a question from Charles Stanley is, now that you told us that this was your 7th season.
Yeah.
What motivates you to keep going back and doing this haunting at Not Scared Farm every year?
I love doing it. It's so much fun. To go is one thing. To go to other events, and I've already done this season. I did Horror Nights for the first time. We'll get to that one.
Oh.
I did Dark Harbor, and I did Warner Brothers. Which, if you've seen the Warner Brothers vlog from them,
yes.
Hi.
Yes.
The pretty face with a lot to say.
Absolutely.
The lot to say. It's fun to go to the events, but to do it is very different because because you get to play a different character. And coming from someone who's in theater, and I love that kind of stuff, I love performing, and I love being a part of it. And so that's kind of why I did it. But I will say the very first reason I started going, or I did it, was because I'd never been to the event. I'd never been to any single haunt event, period. And I was the chicken that had never been, and was and I was I'd never go. And I was the only way I'm ever going to see any of this is if I do it. And so that's kind of what motivated me to do it. And I had people that I'd known from Knott's that would start doing it. And so that's kind of where the motivation came from. And then now the repeat factor is just all my friends are there. My best friends are all there. So it's and so even if I wasn't in the same scare zone as them, we'd still all have stories. And there have been a lot of stories.
So there's a family that's basically built between all the scare actors and stuff like that.
I feel as though, and this could be wrong for any of these events, but I feel as though Knott's has a more homegrown like mentality to it. And so like when you're in a specific scare zone, you're a family.
Okay.
There's a lot of people that you may not like. That's fine, but you treat each other with respect and you treat each other fairly.
Just like a regular family.
Just as a regular family. Oh, absolutely. And so
you got that one cousin you don't like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, that's kind of what I love about working Scary Farm is being able to go and have the fun. And then for us, if we're not there or if we're doing some other things or there's another event that's open and we're closed, like, hey, let's go do it.
That's awesome.
I met some of my best friends through camp. That was where I met some of my closest friends.
You're referring to the Camp Snoopy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We all have specific names for our zones, and camp is one of them. However, someone tried to call it the Hollow and say that Camp Snoopy was not a thing.
Whoa.
We'll see about that.
All right.
So like having those people year round has been really great because I've been able to talk to them and being like, hey, here's what's going. Actually, to segue this perfectly, Cardiac Productions would not have existed without the people from Camp Snoopy.
Oh, wow.
Specific people. Andrew Boomer is one of them. Because we did a movie together called Kin of Sin, which we're hoping comes out next year. Hopefully. Ooh. Fingers crossed. But that friendship would not have happened unless camp is what it was. Oh, wow. So that's what I love about it. That's what I love about it.
So before we go into Cardiac Productions, one of our questions comes from Damien Castro, who
I've heard. I saw this comment.
He was here
waiting for this. I was so waiting for it.
He was one of the fantastic scare actors from Halloween Horror Nights, and he asks you, would you ever consider joining the dark side of the haunt?
The dark side.
I love Horror Nights. Join us.
You know what? I've always said, I've thought about it. I did think about it because it'd be fun to be a part of like Universal Studios because a lot of people don't realize, like, especially having been in the theme parks, is that a lot of them are AGVA performers, so they're making more. So if you've ever gone to Disney, Frozen, Making the Magical Map, the Citizens of Buena Vista Street, all those people are AGVA. So they're under a union. Same thing with Horror Nights or Universal. A lot of their performers are all there, and they're all AGVA. I would love to be there so I could have that union status. However, I do not drive, so the commute is a nightmare.
Oof, okay.
Just getting there to go to as just a guest was really difficult.
Right.
It would be difficult for me to do it back and forth.
Sure.
If I did, I'd probably do it as a standby. But I mean, I love haunt more, to be honest with you. But I've never been one to shy away from playing with other people. I've always wanted to do that. I think my next plan, a spoiler alert, there might be an opportunity to maybe try to do Dark Harbor.
Oh, wow.
Because it's close enough to us that I could probably do it. And actually some of our monsters from Knott, because we finished so early this season, got to go over and for the last 2 nights go play at Dark Harbor.
No,
wow.
And they're out in the streets and they were part of the slider show and stuff. So I'd like to go and actually play there because I think it'd be fun to play at the Ghost Ship and go, I got to play Dark Harbor. That'd be fun. Like that's something Dark Harbor was another one I was thinking of. But I've just been so busy lately with Cardiac Productions, Haunt, as well as Bloodwood Creek that I don't have the time to really do a lot of stuff. So when it's available and it's free, I probably can go to do it. So
I don't know if you mentioned, but what's the tryout process like at Knott's? Is there one? Or
well, it's kind of under wraps, right?
No, actually, so Knott's Network actually has covered this, and so it is a thing. So when I first hired in, if you were in mazes, or you were just wanting to do mazes, you didn't have to audition.
Okay.
Because it was just like, you're in the maze. Like, that's totally fine. The audition process has since changed because they wanted to make sure that every person was actually capable of, scaring and doing their job. So there is, like, a preliminary, like, thing now where it's more of a, okay, can you be, like, show me, like, a zombie with, like, your big toe missing and you have to kind of do it. Just so they can see you can do it. And then if you want to do streets, then you can stay and they'll give you more. I know within streets, this was actually the first season I've had to really audition for streets as much. The first year of The Hollow, because they needed a big workforce.
Okay.
They were just and I was also like super early in the morning. I didn't really have to do much. They were just like, okay, what would you show us your scarecrow? How would you be like? How would you move? Like, give us something. And so that's kind of the birth of what the shaman was in a way. It was kind of that format, but it was a different character. And then the year after, I got preferred. So basically, we love you in this spot. Don't change it. Let's just get you in for paperwork, and that's totally fine.
That's awesome.
And so that's kind of how the format is now. And then this last year, they gave me Streets Rehire because we were trying to make the shaman like a legit character in the Hollow. And then so they were like, go to Streets audition and audition this character. And that's kind of where it went from Forrest in the Hollow to Cardiac in the Boardwalk. But in reality, like, I always thought, like, how would I actually be on Boardwalk? So it was kind of fun to actually to do it. So so I praise the universe for doing stuff like that. But going back to like Universal, like, I would not mind. Like, I would totally like love doing it and it'd be fun, but Knott's has got more creativity somewhat to it.
Shade. Shade. The
Where'd
tea.
my tea go all
The
of a
tea,
sudden? It
yeah.
just disappeared. Oops.
Wow. Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions from them, and now we'll just go on to questions from us.
I've been asking a couple, and I apologize,
no,
but
that's fine. That's fine.
I honestly, like, I just love people that ask the questions, and especially about the process behind the scenes of it,
Right?
Which is kind of where the haunt vlogs came from, and
Okay.
just because it was like, this is how someone who lives in the shadows, as I've been referring to it lately, how does it operate and the things that we kind of have to deal with. And so that's kind of where it came from, which is why I love those questions, because there are people who would rather be the guest and not be the monster, but they would love to know what it's like to be us.
And then you have future monsters too who wanted to see. I'm calling them monsters. NASA.
And what's funny enough is there's people who have seen the haunt vlogs on my YouTube channel. Cardiac, you're welcome. Who actually got inspiration from my haunt vlogs to want to come work or to go into other places. And that's what I love about it, is just having people that are like, I watch your vlogs and I want to do it. And I'm like,
Recruit
okay, great,
right there.
that's awesome. And so, it's a great lesson to learn. So I love it.
So what, after 7 seasons, I'm sure you can pinpoint one moment that has been infamous above all. That this has been the moment where maybe it even challenged your whole view on Not Scary Farm. That it was like, I quit, I don't want to do this anymore. Has there been that moment?
Not so much quit.
Sure.
It's more of like it's a questioning of, am I actually as good as I think I am?
Okay.
This being one of them. This season was the difficult one because what most people don't realize is that while we are great at what we do, we also have managers who help kind of manage us in a way and make sure that all the bases are covered, and they're the kind of the ones that are like the pretty faces going, oh, they hit you, I'm so sorry, or they cursed at you, wow, don't do that. Where something was said, I can't really say what, but something was said, and it was something that, if most people who know me know that is something I would never say, but because it was on video and there was multiple people and they couldn't figure out who it was, they had to, what in term, gag us, basically meaning you're not allowed to talk. You can't say anything. You have to make noises. This happens like every season. All the time. For various reasons. Our most infamous one, not me, but our Green Witch on the 40th year, there was a Facebook post written to Not Scary Farm about a woman who had a very difficult experience with the Green Witch, in which the Green Witch looked at her and said, you need to go back to Jenny Craig. However, it was found out that not only was she drunk, and this was on a special event night that no longer exists, where people just like tailgate like nobody's business, and she was already wasted, and she may or may not have told this particular witch, look, it's a address. Which prompted this.
Wow.
And so, and that's kind of where all the gag order came from. I mean, it's happened, but this was the bigger one. So it was more like a scaring, and not feeling like I'm doing enough. And so that's kind of, so I've never had a point where I'm like, I want to quit.
Okay.
Period. I've had friends who've had that for different reasons, but I myself have never had that. But it's just because I love it too much. And I focus more on like, let me just go scare, have fun, be with my friends, and do it, because now it's such a part of my culture that it's like, it would be weird for me not to do haunt. It's so weird. Okay. Just the thought of me not doing it. And, you know, now that there's been 7 years of me doing it, it's hard to change it and to like be like, oh, Forrest is no longer it. What? It's kind of weird.
It's a part of you now.
Yeah, it's very much a part of it. There are specific points in my year that I section off specifically to do certain things. Okay. There was one that had to be, that not in my control, that had to be removed, that I was like, this is awkward, I'm not doing anything. And so it was kind of weird to do that, but haunt will always be a part of my life, whether I want it to or not. So it's part of the monster, the monster DNA, if you will. All
right.
Yeah.
I like that. I can see that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything?
Yeah, I've been quiet for like the past
come on.
I've been enjoying this story, right?
It's just crazy.
It's
you
like,
are a great storyteller, Forrest.
Thank you for
me. I would
I'm
never.
like in trance right now. I'm like, and then what?
Yeah.
And then what?
Yeah.
But I guess my biggest question would have to be like, what's like your like most favorite moment? Like out of like all the 7 years. There's got to be a moment, you know.
There's got to be a moment like
opposite of Thomas's question.
You made
what's
the coin
what's
on
the
the other
definitive
side.
moment?
someone have to get a new pair of pants because they just.
There's 2 moments.
Ooh. All right.
So the one is obviously me playing Barry, because I think
Right.
it was just a fun time to play it. Actually, correction, there's 3.
Oh,
so
here we go.
Barry was one because of how much involved I was in the maze, and I just loved being a part of that. And a lot of the people that came from that were there went over to Camp Snoopy, and so it was like people I was familiar with, which was great. The other one was getting to do, for 3 of the weeks, the first like 3 weeks of the run, I got to do news broadcasts in Tooth Fairy. So I had to be up at like 3 a.m. in the morning in a makeup chair to just go back into a maze that I just finished doing like 2 days before, and go and be on news broadcasts and be a part of the marketing, which was really I liked that because that was super fun, because paranormal I didn't get to do that as much, but the trade-off was that like I was like the creation, I got to watch the creation, which is pretty cool. But the one moment that I will never let down is the creation of Cardiac. So for most people who don't live within the especially haunt universe. Right. I don't know if this is actually anywhere besides Scary Farm. It might be. But we all have haunt names. So that's why whenever someone tried to find me, they had to call me Cardiac, because it's more of a safety thing. If someone knows my actual name, Instagram is a real good search engine to find people and to whoop someone. So with haunt names, it's how we communicate and how we refer to people out in a maze or on streets. And so but to get a haunt name is like, it's not just something that they give willy-nilly. It's given to you by people that see something that you've done and give it to you. My first one was Bubbles. Another one was Diva. Within the same season too, within the first year, the first 3 weeks, I had Diva and Bubbles. I was like, all right, cool. And then Miley was another one, because I was twerking like Miley Cyrus.
Oh, there you go.
And then, but for the longest time, it was Barry. However, how I got Cardiac was there was one night I was out in camp. This is the second year it opened, and I was near the very end of the night. And that night I was supposed to go out to the main gate to get pictures, because the only way you can get pictures with talent is the last 30 minutes of the run of that night. Fun fact.
Yeah, fun fact. Right
so
there.
I got asked to go, and so I had about maybe like 20 minutes before that 30-minute mark. And so I was near the back of camp. Was near, where is it? The like little kite high, or I was near somewhere near the back, near Fiesta. And there's planters there, and there's a bunch of foggers. So the foggers go up, and it's starting to dissipate, and I'm like really getting into it, and I scare this one guy. He turns around towards Fiesta Village and starts booking it, but he's staring backwards towards me, thinking that I'm going to chase him, which I was not. I kind of like stopped myself after realizing he was running, just because I wanted to see where this was going. He was still, okay, so he's still looking at me. What he does not see is there's a planter in front of him that's quite massive, with a tree that I've dubbed the hollow tree, because that was my tree. Still running, hits the planter, free willies over the planter, like there's like an arch.
Oh my god.
And he hit the ground on the other side.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, oh, he hit it. And it was like, I was like laughing. I was like dying. I was like, oh my god. And then like a couple seconds go by. He doesn't get up.
Oh my god.
A couple seconds. We're like, oh no. So I immediately just drop character and hightail it over. And I'm like, sir, are you okay? And he's just like, he's like this. And you could tell he's been shaking because something big has happened. He's sitting there. And I'm like, sir, are you okay? And I'm like, what's your name? He goes, so-and-so. Okay, do you know where you're at? He goes, I'm so-and-so. I'm here. Okay, do you know what has just happened? He goes, I fell. I'm like, yes, you did. And he's sitting there, and he goes, where is it coming from?
Oh, God.
And they're going, and someone from around is like, yeah, I think there's blood underneath him. and they grab a flight, and they look, and sure enough, I busted his chin open.
Oh, man.
Like, to a point where he needed stitches. So we get it figured out, and I find someone, I'm like, you need to go to Fiesta, because there was a scare zone there at the time. I'm like, go to their cast league, go get first aid. You try to find someone up there. We need to go get first aid. I'm like, sir, it's going to be fine. Do not get up. Stay where you are.
Yeah.
He goes, am I okay? Where is it coming from? I'm like, it's coming from your chin. Just don't move. So we got all of the necessary people to get it over, and they're like, and so one of my talent captains goes, you go back there now. So that we hiding behind so he could ask us what was going on. And one of my now best friends goes, do you realize what you just did? And I go, no. He goes, he needs to get stitches. He's in shock right now, and if he gotten up any sooner than he is, you would have put him into cardiac arrest, and you would have killed him. And he goes, and they all look at me. And so now all of my best friends, within seconds of him saying that, go, cardiac, second, third. And I was like, no. Because some people were like arguing why it wasn't Free Willy. But I was like, but think about it. Free Willy Productions. But like, but like Cardiac is better. I just like Cardiac more because Cardiac is like a really good haunt name. Oh, so another thing about
Free Willy Productions, that's a whole other genre.
Yes, it is. I've been like, that's a little awkward.
I know some people.
I mean, you're in a good location for it, so I feel like
that's right.
But what most people don't know is when you get a haunt name, it's not just you're Cardiac. It's someone calls it out as like a first. You have 3 other people or 2 other people that have to second third it before it's like a done thing. And so now I have 2 jerseys. I have a baseball jersey from camp that has Barry on it, but I have a hockey jersey from camp that says Cardiac on it.
Yeah.
And so now Cardiac Productions has come up out of that because it's
amazing.
It's a great name. So I'm like, such an epic story.
And then they bring out the sword and they knight you.
Sir Cardiac.
If only.
So, all right, this is the best segue that we
Now
could
we
ask
segue
for.
into it.
Why don't we talk a little bit about Cardiac Productions? So by the time this goes up, which will be this Tuesday, November 27th, right?
Okay.
November 27th. So your announcement has not been made.
No, it has not.
No, you're not. So. First of all, go subscribe to Cardiac, which is in the link below, because there will be a major announcement December 1st.
Yes.
So what can you sneak peek teaser?
Okay, so
give us the teaser.
So in thinking about my YouTube channel, so in the last few years, my biggest things, I loved neon, I loved geometric shapes, I loved paint splatter, I loved those kinds of things, but I liked being someone that felt like I had a good sense of knowledge of the world and just having great communications with people. However, I just felt that it was kind of boring after a while, and I was someone that was wanted to be a career YouTuber. So I was doing 3 videos a week,
Mm-hmm.
or at least attempting to do 3 videos a week, which sucks.
Nutty.
Oh, yes, it does.
And so it would be Mondays would be about music,
Mm-hmm.
Wednesdays would be about Disney, and Thursdays would be just kind of free reign.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt it was too much. And in doing so, right before this haunt season, I started developing a show that I wanted to be more immersive. I wanted to be something unique and something that just messed with you psychologically. And so that is kind of the birth of where Cardiac Productions came from, because I felt that if I was going to do this show, it needed to be copyrighted, and therefore I needed my own production company to do it.
Yeah.
So that is where Cardiac Productions came from. The official launch date is December 1st. And so in doing so, Cardiac came out of that. So Cardiac is the YouTube channel that is going to now focus specifically on horror. And those videos will be 1 day a week.
There you go.
Less work I have to do.
Yeah.
On Mondays. So I've always told myself at Mondays at 10 a.m. will be the launch days. And so what I would like to be able to do with Cardiac is I want to focus on horror and the great people that make horror what it is.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Whereas with Cardiac Productions, it's production / consulting. So the production aspect of it is being able to do live theatrical horror experiences. And so there's one that I'm working on right now called Fear Good Technologies. It's an adaptation of a Black Mirror episode called Playtest. But it's done in an actual tech demonstration. And so I took that as an inspiration, going, what if this was like an actual live thing? There are also other ideas which have been really great about social media is I can talk to people. So I put out a question for everyone, was pick a number between 1 to 11, which some of y'all has seen that, and I got the numbers. Those numbers correlated to an idea that I had. There's now, I think, 12, maybe 13 now of just random ideas that I think would make really awesome shows. So there one other one that I'm for sure working on, but this other one it's gonna be dark. But this one, but like my biggest thing is I want it to be horror, and I want it to be psychological, and I want people to walk out of these shows going like, what is happening? Like, that's what I love. I feel like Sixth Sense plot twist. That's the kind of stuff I want.
Okay.
Now, the consulting side of it is that I found in recent years too, and you guys have seen this, especially like Midsummer Scream and Scare LA, home haunts are a huge thing.
Yeah.
And so I felt if I could somehow be just a great contribution to the haunt industry, it's that I can be able to assist people in developing these ideas. So that's kind of where I want Cardiac Productions to go, is to be that one place that people can go going, I want to do something scary, I just don't know how to do it.
Okay.
Bust out the pen going, all right, let's talk. And have that be a thing.
Going.
So, in addition to we've called it the Black Tank, like a think tank, but black. But being able to dive into the shadows and go, okay, how dark do you want to go? What's something you want to do, and where do you want this to go? Because obviously your location will definitely speak for itself and help you figure out where you want to go, as well as also event planning, like creating timelines, so we can get you can focus on creative, we will focus on the logistics, so you can just get that done, as well as monster training. So if anybody wants yours truly to come to you and really show you the ropes of what it's like to be a monster and stuff like that, we can be booked to do that.
That's dope.
As well as my biggest thing this one idea came up to one big thing is I wanted to not only help the people that want to create it, but the kids that want to create it, because the kids are like putting out a lot, like Aurora Perchetti from Murder House Productions, like, which I wish I would have gone through the trick or treat thing. That would have been so cool. And even
so
Darnie Darko too. Like, I so regret that I didn't get to go through those during Midsummer Scream because I was too chicken to do it. But now it's like, now I want to be able to be those cheerleaders, which is why When Warner Brothers asked me to come, I said yes.
Mm-hmm.
When Horror Nights, when the opportunity arose, I said yes. When Dark Harbor arose, I said yes because I wanted to be those champions and cheer people on. Because it's hard. It's hard to be a monster, but I wanted to be able to help champion those kids that want to create something. So that's why there's a menu item called Children of the Shadows that will, with an adult also, mind you, I can come in and go, okay, you want to build a haunt? Perfect. Where do you want this haunt to be? Mm-hmm. And then kind of help them shape the idea, map it out for them, and hand them an entire packet going, this is yours, have fun.
Oh, wow.
And have it be that. And that's kind of where I wanted it to go. Mm-hmm. Eventually, there's some things that I want to expand upon, but that expansion hasn't come in yet. But some potential ideas is there's a dance troupe that I've been wanting to do for the longest time.
Whoa.
That's similar to like Academy of Villains, but be very dark and even more terrifying. As well as whenever all these shows come up is to be able to kind of like how high schools do with theater, license out our shows. Or even have them pay for us and we can come and actually perform the show
that'd
for
be
them.
Fantastic.
So that's kind of where we are. That's the company itself as a whole as your guide to the shadows. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about as of right now.
Oh, that's great.
I love that idea of like, calling a teacher to teach me how to be a scare actor. Because imagine you're gonna come to these tryout dates and you're like, oh gosh, what am I gonna do? I'm freaking
and there's
out.
Actually a few workshops I already have kind of outlined and ready. So if anybody wants them, they can easily book me and make it happen. It's I forget the titles because I've changed them, but the basic idea is it's how to create a monster out of a skeleton, and basically here's the skeleton character. How do you make something that's specific to how you want to scare and what you want to do and how you want to create this character? And the other one's more of a what did I call it? Like, so you want to be a monster is what I called it. It's more behind the scenes stuff. It's more of like this is what we do before, during, and after a haunt. Okay. Like before, like even just before a night, but before a season, how do you mentally prepare yourself to run? Right. What things do you need? So like my haunt box would come with me. So I could show them that this is what it looks like. This is what I bring. This may not necessarily be what you need, but this is an option. And that's kind of where I've been. And I actually pitched this to Midsummer and I wanted to bring it to them, but we haven't figured out the right time yet. It's coming. But I want to be able to bring that to them as well, because it's that and Scare Lake, because they're so huge. I'd love to be able to have it and be able to be like, let's do this. So
absolutely.
It'd be really fun. So that's kind of where I'm at as of right now.
Cardiac
Productions is in a full swing.
Wow. I think that this is amazing. I don't know. I'm taken aback just because it's something. For me, it's very surreal just to think about that there's just something like that, Yeah. And it's like you said, it's something that's it caters to a certain audience, yes, but it's almost kind of like an audience that needed it for, I guess you could say. And who better to teach than from somebody who's got, what, 7
seasons
of experience?
There's people who've been here longer than I have. Actually, there's a girl that I know. Her name is Nadine. We love her. She's a witch in camp who has been there. We love our witches. We love our witches. She's been there. I think she said she's been there 39 years. And the woman who surpassed her, who's no longer there, this was the first season without her. Her name is... oh my God, she was the original Green Witch. I forget her name. Charlene. That's her name. Charlene. She was there for at least like 42 to 45 years.
Wow.
As the Green Witch. So when the Green Witch came in for the 40th year, everyone was like, it's not Charlene? What? And so like and because I was near Forevermore, was right near Warehouse P, she'd walk in, she'd leave at like midnight. She'd start at like 3 or 4 and then she'd be done, and I would always say goodbye to her because I remember her from Season of Screams. If you know what that is, props to y'all. It's a really awesome documentary about the history of Scary Farm up into I think like 2001, to kind of see where like sliding came from, where the streets came from, and even the shows, like a lot of like what is haunt now, it is in that DVD, and that's how I like wanted to when I was a kid. That's kind of where I got my inspiration from. It's like, oh, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Was from that one movie, and I still have it. I love it.
Yay.
I almost lost it for a good hot second, but then I got it back and was like, I have to watch this like 3 or 4 times because it is that good. But that's what I love about horror too. Is horror is we are diehards. We love our horror. We love scary things. Just because I think, because not only that, like especially being as a gay male, like one definitely like a niche group with another niche group. We love our horror. We know what to do with it, and we love being scared, and we love being able to cheer on those people who are willing to take their creativity or whatever they're thinking about and make it even worse, and put it into like a 3D setting. And to be able to tell a good story. So I just love doing that. And that's kind of where Cardiac Productions came out of. And Cardiac, the YouTube channel, wants to be able to show is to have those people that are like, let's do this. Like, let's go be scary. And that's why it's so much fun. So, and I'm glad that there's people who live in that universe and why all of us like to talk to each other so much. That's my biggest initiative, is to never have those dramatic people or create cliques within the horror community, because that's the last thing I think I ever want to have happen. I can't do it. No, it's not good.
That's
not good. Not good.
But
Well, Forrest, thank you so much for coming.
I had such a good time.
This was fantastic.
I'm sorry, when you put me in a place and talk a lot, I talk a lot.
Well, that's what the podcast is for.
content.
Yeah, let us know where people can find you.
Okay, so I have a personal... hold on, let me buckle up for this one. So if you want to follow me on my personal Instagram, it's ForrestEO. It's ForrestEO. If you'd like to follow the Cardiac Productions official Instagram, which just came out, it's Cardiac, Cardiac. I have to remember how to spell that, or else it's bad. Period. Productions, Productions. So there's a period. It's Cardiac Productions with a period. If you'd like to go on to the YouTube channel, which debuts December 3rd, so a couple days after the actual company launch. So the company launches on the 1st. The YouTube channel goes on the 3rd, just because it would work easier. You just have to do youtube.com/cardiacyt. So remember, cardiac YouTube. That'll get you there. And we have some good stuff going. I already have the first 4 videos planned already, and I think I just edited one. I'm editing the actual official first video, and then I'm gonna go and do more after that. Cause why not?
Grind don't stop.
No, it does not. It does not. Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all. That's all I got.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For those of you listening on SoundCloud, make sure to rate this and share with your fellow SoundCloud listeners. People on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to Forrest and on Cardiac, and then Cardiac Productions if you're seeing this past December 3rd.
I know.
And make sure to hit that bell, the notification bell, to be notified for both Forrest channel and for our channel.
TLEV Media.
Yeah, TLEV.
Cardiac.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, I've been Thomas.
I've been Mr. E.
They still don't let me on this podcast, but I've been Josue.
My name is Forrest, or Cardiac.
And thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
I'll see you in the shadows.